I'ma make a statement day by day. Y'all better come my way. Y'all better come my way. Okay, and say, y'all better come my way. I'ma make a statement day by day. Peace out, up. Put them in the air and go rise.
Welcome to Jam-Packed. I am your host, Jamila. Now, before I get into the amazing, dope treat that I have for y'all today, make sure that you go ahead and subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com/jampacked, as well as follow all that good stuff on Instagram at Jampacked Show, as well as on Twitter. Now, without further ado, I will put it that way. Without further ado, I have such an incredible treat for y'all that I am super geeked. He is a queer Muslim unicorn, better yet known as the Guzlum. He is an LGBTQ activist, a TV host, a comedian, and TikTok legend. He is the host of the podcast Take On, available on all platforms. Like I said, he is a TikTok legend, dare I say icon. He became famous on TikTok after he shared videos rating celebrities he worked with as a TV publicist, from J-Lo to the Kardashians, Ellen, Drew Barrymore, Michael B. Jordan. That was a real trendy one right there. It was a real hot one. DJ Khaled, Tara Reid, and many more. You may have seen him on AfterBuzz TV, reality TV, or on Tea with Monique, the Monique of Real Housewives of Potomac's channel, on Faking the Funk Live discussion, the real versus the fraudulent folks. Or you may have seen him on the Juicy Scoop with Heather McDonald, spilling all the tea. And some of his work includes being the co-host of Let's Talk About It, as well as all things pop culture and Bravolebrities. Bravolebrities. I love that word. He
the
is
mouthful.
Yeah, exactly. Literally. And he's also the creator of the Queer Positivity panel. He started with the queer positivity in the Grindr age. Don't miss a beat of the tea spillage, the goodness, and all things LGBTQ realness, y'all, and the positivity on his Instagram as well as TikTok. Nobody is safe from his critiques and his famous catchphrase, next. Next. Look out for him on Clubhouse. Hit him up to get in on his masterclass for how to go viral on TikTok and Instagram. He can get you about 1,000 followers in less than a month. Yes, you heard it right, y'all. In less than a month. Y'all, he is garnering over 5 million views on his videos and continuing to grow. Joining us from the OC, a part of my hood, Orange County, if y'all not with it, folks, I bring to y'all Amir Yassai. Woo!
Yes! Oh my God, Jamila, that was the best introduction I've ever gotten. That was amazing.
Oh my goodness, you are too kind. Oh
Love
my
it.
goodness. You are out here doing it and doing it well. Like, I feel like I just want to flow with some LL Cool J, just doing it well.
Doing it well. Woo, yes. That 90s rap, honey, nobody can touch it. Nobody can touch it.
Yes, that's so true.
When I started, a lot of people were like, nobody wants to hear from you. Nobody cares about a feminine, gay, Muslim. That's not even a real thing. You're a nobody. But it's important to treat people well because you don't know what platform people are going to have. All of those actors I worked with, Michael B. Jordan was lovely. Some of them weren't. And they never thought I would have a platform to speak on things. And I wasn't speaking to create noise or clout chasing. I was just sharing my news that when you are at a low level and you're a celebrity, treat people right. I was getting paid $10 an hour and I was treated like dirt. So it's not right.
And I love that you are really taking that as a space where there needs to be accountability with everything, from Grindr, the creating queer positivity, the way that the celebrities treated you, what your experience was, and what your journey is. There are so many people that can learn, and I love the way that you present it to the folks. It's in a comedic way, but there's so much truth grounded in it. And I can't wait to talk about all of that.
That's amazing. And thank you for noticing that. Cause my biggest, takeaway from all the work that I do is that I want to educate people in a fun, humorous manner, but you can talk about anything. I've talked about my suicidal battles when doing the panel, but made people laugh. And people after were like, I kind of felt bad laughing about your mental health struggle. I'm like, no, I'm working through it. So when I make you laugh and I teach you and I take the darkness out of mental health, I hate these commercials. There's this one that I hate. It's like, do you have bipolar depression? It's like this woman hiding in a room. There's nothing to hide from. If you're struggling with mental health struggles, there are people to help you. There are therapists. There are drugs you can take. There are things you can do to lead a normal life. This idea that it should be a secret and you should hide from it, I want to destigmatize it and demystify it. Racism, homophobia, xenophobia, sexism, transphobia, rape, all of these things are not scary, demystic. Men are the ones doing them and making it seem like it's an enigma. It's not shocking. 95% of the world experiences all of the things I mentioned, So it's not rocket science to want to discuss it and break it down.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with mental health. And, I feel like, folks, we all process our things differently and we share them differently. And I, like you, like to make a joke of the realness and still have a very honest conversation. And maybe that's probably why I do drinking games, to kind of balance some of the content and some of the stuff that we talk about, because sometimes shit can get very deep and it's like, okay, well, how are you gonna, right. You're right. Y'all,
listen, if you don't laugh, y'all, I'm making faces, y'all. You can't see it. I'm rolling eyes. If you can't laugh, it's ridiculous. I am a feminine, queer, Muslim, Persian. I have more intersections than that freaking, what is that intersection in Japan? It's like crazy. Like everything's crisscrossing. And, when you are a person of color in this country, a woman, you might be queer, whatever it is, all of those things, it's crazy. We have to laugh. I cry all the time. I love to cry. I love having emotions. But sometimes if I don't laugh, I will cry.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But I live for your facial expressions because I love doing facial expressions as well. And I feel like the facial expressions you give, and like that is the meme to my heart. That is the caption to my heart. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I love you. That's hilarious. Listen, my uncle's a plastic surgeon. There's a reason at 35, I've never gotten Botox. I've never done plastic surgery because I want to be able to go, no. Like when a white man, like today, this happened to me today, a white straight man said, there's no imposter syndrome. Honey, even though Clubhouse is audio only, I need to make faces. I need to mute the mic and react. I need to roll my eyes. I always say I roll my eyes so deep in my head that I literally don't know how they come back because these men are crazy. I've done shows. Let me tell you real quick. I did a show. Someone went up before me and said, oh, if you don't laugh at Amir's jokes, he's up next. He might blow you up because he's a terrorist. Okay. All right. Okay, Tommy. Good for you, Tommy. So when I went up, I said, everybody, when you're leaving, the comedy club and you're walking to your car and you're a woman, watch out for Tommy because most rapists are white men. Thank you. Thank you. And guess what? Tommy cried, honey. He cried in the green room. So, and I don't feel bad for white man tears. Spill them.
No, right. Here's a bucket for your white tears. This is not, I don't care.
Everyone's like, you're so mean. You're a bully. I'm like, did you forget that he called me a terrorist?
Right.
Did anyone feel bad about me?
Right. Did we just forget that he started all this shit? Because I was about to come and just make y'all laugh, but now Tommy made himself the prime suspect number one.
You might start it, honey, but I'm gonna finish it. Let me take my retainer out and I will finish it because I'm a gay man and I will outshade you as long as the day is long, honey. And the night is long. I will outshade you every which way. So just a side note.
Love it. And you're a Gemini in addition to all of that. So that is like extra spicy. My wife is a Gemini. Oh, you are, I believe from my deep dive, I believe your birthday is a day before her birthday. So y'all like really Gemini tight. Like
you're living with me, honey. Like you feel that. Geminis are like this. We're like very engaged. Or you should have seen me a couple of hours ago. I was completely disengaged. You could have ran a 18-wheeler truck on me, honey, and I wouldn't have felt. So that is just how we are. Like,
yes.
We know how to work it in the bed, but we are also a little cuckoo crazy bananas. But it is what it is. And I mean, what do you want from me? It is what it is. And my moon is also Gemini, so it's a lot. When there's a full moon, honey, I turn into a werewolf, and that has nothing to do with me being Middle Eastern. I just fully transform, so it's crazy.
But I love how y'all Geminis just downplay, like, we're a little cuckoo crazy. No. Y'all.
We will burn your boat, honey. We will burn your boat with you in it. I slash tires. I have licked people's salads. Listen, don't come at me wrong. I will put ketchup on your door handle. I will release your bunny into the forest. I have no shame. It's just don't come for me. Anyways.
Oh my God. I fucks with your petty so strong. And
I am petty LaBelle. I am her lost long cousin.
Yes.
I will be petty till the day is long because you know what? I have spent 27 years of my life being silent. So I am making up for some lost time. So bear with me. And anyone that wants to DM me and say, be nice, take that toxic positivity elsewhere. Go to some white lady's page that's doing yoga tea quotes and go talk to her because I don't got time for it. I don't have time for it.
Oh my gosh. I have flatlined several times and been.
I love you. I love you. I'm sorry.
This is fucking amazing. This is great.
You caught me on a day. I am professionalism has left the building along with misogyny. So I am just I can't.
It's all good. Professionalism left a long time ago when I first started the podcast.
Love it. I feel safe here. I feel a lot of times I go on these podcasts and it's tell us how to build your brand, and I have to be so professional. This is nice.
You're just fucking build it.
Just build the brand, bitch. Start posting shit. You have 0 posts. There's a reason you have 3 followers. You haven't posted anything. Anyone?
Right. How are we supposed to fucking know you exist and you haven't posted a damn thing the whole entire time?
And then your username, Shamila, your username is user 144333. I don't want to show my name. Well, no one's going to fucking find you.
Right. Exactly. We need to start somewhere. Put a fake fucking name if you need to, but start somewhere. Have an alias if you don't need people to know your name so heavy. But that's folks kill me with that shit. They really are.
I got a DM. Someone was like, well, it'd be really easy if someone just handed me a verified Instagram account and then I could just pretend to build it.
What? Where'd they do that at?
I was like, what's the service? Because I had to build my own and I had to toil it and I still work so hard at it. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. It is literally a hustle, a grind, a consistent grind when you don't fucking feel like it.
Especially when the apps don't like you. Instagram hates people of color, hates queer people. TikTok really hates queer people. I posted a video that's exactly someone else did verbatim mine, okay? He's white. His video has 2 million views. Mine has 0 because it's been shadow banned because the word gay made them so uncomfortable. So that's TikTok. And then on TikTok right now, there's a guy who literally had a bunch of women on a Lamborghini who he called hot bitches. I would never say that. A woman called the cops. The cop came and joined the TikTok, okay? Imagine if a Black creator was doing the same thing. Do you think the officer would have joined his TikTok when the police was called? Please. I just can't. I can't. And that video has 10 million views. So again, when people say social media, I heard this today, social media doesn't reflect the real world. Yes, it absolutely does, because all of the same shortcomings. I have a friend who has 5 million followers on TikTok. She makes a quarter of what other followers that are white, other creators, they make a quarter, way more than her. She makes a quarter of what they make. So just don't with that mess saying that Instagram and TikTok are not the real world, because it absolutely is. It absolutely is.
Yeah, I mean, that's so true. They all want to blame it on the algorithm, this and that. And no, just straight up call it what it is. These companies are a reflection of the uncomfortable conversations that people are not trying to have. And, it was so interesting because it's interesting that you say that, because when I try to promote a teaser video on Instagram, and there was one, that episode was called Kinky Tings, and she brought the sex toys out and all that other stuff. But in the promo we used, at some point, I said pussy, and they allowed me to say pussy, right? And like, they didn't flag it. They didn't say like, oh, you can't promote it because the word pussy is in it. But it was interesting. I had another video where Chris Noth was in it. And I don't know if you've seen, was it A New York Christmas Wedding?
I have.
Where
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so I had him
I kind of
on.
love
and
him.
So he was right. So he was talking about A New York Christmas Wedding along with the director of that movie, and then on a different episode, I had Nia, who played Jennifer in that movie. But with that episode with Chris Noth in it, it was a surprise that he had even popped up, right? So it was the director chose to surprise me. And I was like, oh shit, like, is someone else supposed to be joining us, right? And then it was Chris Noth, and I was like, oh shit, like, and then I was like, oh, big. Right. And then I was like, oh, my giddy little lesbian heart, right? Because he played, Pastor Kelly or Father Kelly, right, in the movie. And we used the clip where it was talking about, oh, my giddy little lesbian heart or whatever it was. And I noticed there was a dip when I used the word lesbian in that teaser.
Say that for the cheap seats in the back. Say it, because this is the kind of thing. You can say pussy on daytime TV, pussy. But when you speak about your identity, the fact that a 35-year-old man has to write gay @Y to spell out gay on TikTok to get around the algorithm. And then someone, literally, this tech person from Clubhouse said, well, AI is like not good at seeing skin tone. They really can't. And I'm like, oh, so now to worry about AIs, literally artificial intelligence are now being bred to be racist. They are literally not seeing our skin tones, right? They are not seeing different skin tones. I'm like, wait a second, who's programming the AI? White men. So white men are literally making the future of technology racist. I'm like, oh my God. Like, remember when people's facial recognition on their iPhones couldn't recognize Asian faces or people of color? That's technology created by who? White men. Like, it's just, and now I'm like, oh, great. So I have to worry about problematic white men. I have to worry about predatory men in the gay community. Now I have to also put on that list AI. Okay, great. Yeah. That's great.
It's crazy. It's so crazy. And then, and then on top of that, then you have YouTube, just annihilating Black creators, queer creators. It's like, you really have to like dig high and low for like where the fuck to go. It's crazy.
They hate us. Everywhere we go, they hate us. There is a Clubhouse that's for Black creators. It's like a version of Clubhouse. And people are like, well, that doesn't seem fair. Why do you have to infiltrate every fucking space? Like, I created, when I worked at the LGBT Center to create a queer safe space, so many people would come and be like, well, why are you doing Asian queer people? This topic seems exclusionary.
Oh my God.
There was a reason I've created a safe space for people to be able to speak up. A white man literally came into the room and said, are you guys going to mud wrestle? I don't get this room. The room is because of your fucking mouth. It's because of the things you say. You feel, and then someone said, Amir, you're not Asian. Why are you even running this room? Thanks for letting me know I'm not Asian, because I've spent the rest of this year thinking I was Korean. Are you fucking ridiculous? Like,
right.
White people, the audacity. I love it. The audacity, right? To speak on us. When I dated an Ethiopian man, people would ask me if they could touch his hair. I'm like, do I look like his handler? He's right there.
That's crazy.
I don't know why. Those kind of things, people are like, oh, well, what? They were polite enough to ask. I'm like, but the fact that people think they can touch people's hair without asking and think that's so, have you ever thought to touch a white woman's hair?
Never. But white folks.
And their hair looks crazy sometimes. Their hair looks crazy. Like, I want to touch it. It looks dry AF. And I want to check and see if it's going to come off their head because it's like straw. So, and I don't. I choose not to do that. So
I've had people, even as an adult, say, can I touch your hair? And I'm like, the fuck? And if you catch me on a good day, just because I just want to be amused, I really try to fuck with people.
I felt that. I felt that in my soul. I felt that in Jesus Christ, the Holy Ghost. Everything went through me. There are days where I want to be amused. There was a day where a woman messaged me and said, I love your profile, but Muslims are scary. I wanted to fuck with her. I was like, let's go down this path. And I told her, Bravo. Let me tell you, she's one of those Bravolebrities. So she's famous. She has a big platform. She said, oh, Muslims are so scary. And I said, okay, I appreciate that you don't think I'm scary. That's great. Awesome. But like, why do you say that, right? And then she's like, well, in your Bible, I'm like, we don't have a Bible. So it's a Quran. You got to do your research first. And then she was like, oh my God, the Bible is so awful. I'm like, the Bible is so exclusionary. I'm like, I know, girl. I went to Christian school. I read the Bible. I know a lot about religion. But it was so funny to see her go back and forth. And she couldn't receive the L because she's a privileged white woman. She kept being like, but I meant this and I love you and I'm still going to follow you. Bitch, follow away. But you are problematic by making me have to disable Islamophobia for you. That's like asking a Black woman, can you break down racism? Can you define asking a trans person, what's between your legs? Google it. Why do you, if you're not going to, listen, I need to say this and then we can move on. But if you are not making me come, if you are not paying my rent, stay in your motherfucking lane. I'm happy in my lane, living my life. So why do you feel the need to, and people are like, well, you're public, so you should go private. Well, because I'm a public figure doesn't mean you have the right to speak on everything I do and say.
Right. Absolutely. Exactly. Was that your girl with the initials EJ that had her whole moment of come to Jesus, I guess you would say? Her come to Jesus. EJ. I've gotten a cease and desist. I can't talk about her. I get it. You really?
I put on my TikTok, honey.
Oh shit! How did I miss that? Wait, who has been sent? Okay, so that brings a very interesting point. Who has sent cease and desist letters? Because
you know what lawyers do with cease and desist letters? They wipe their asses. It's cease and desist. It's Hollywood's version of a love letter.
Shots
right?
fired.
Like, shots fired, but it doesn't go anywhere. It's like an edible arrangement of crap. It doesn't go anywhere. Like we sent them all the time. I've gotten one from Clubhouse. I had some random woman send it to me as a restraining order. I was like, I don't even know who you are. Yeah. People are weird. But like, yeah, her publicist that I know reached out and was like, if you talk about her again, we're going to send you a season. I'm like, first of all, everything I've said is true. So there's a difference between defamation, libel, and speaking the truth. I only speak the truth, and that was the truth. She was a nightmare. And well, how have things played out? Did she become Mother Teresa? Are you guys watching this new season? I don't think EJ is Mother Teresa. She stole money from people willing and knowingly. Anyways, allegedly, so you can't come for me. But yeah, with that, it was someone else. It was another Bravolebrity. There's a lot of problematic ones. But you know, when the helm of the ship is Andy Cohen, a very problematic, cisgendered, white, gay man who I've been on a plane with, he had a huge tantrum. Do you know who I am? He has that problematic, and he always will remove himself from the drama. You know, I knew the woman Faith that was on Vanderpump Rules, and I spoke to her when they were saying, oh, you know, she's so, like, even the way that he's like, oh, should we just bring them back now? Like, white people think that when there is a like repercussion for your racist behavior, they think that like, oh, let's go back to normal, right? Let's go back to A. But they don't understand, once you do the damage, like look at the difference, right? Okay, he wants to bring their careers back on Vanderpump Rules. Kevin Hart speaks about something 5 or 6 years ago. They bring that up and he loses his Oscar job. Okay, I get it. He didn't handle it well. I'm a queer person. I did not like what he said. But the way that every time people of color, queer people are made examples, as opposed to their white counterparts that get a slap on the wrist, that's what I have a problem with, right? That is at the essence, oh, she's a housewife, so Amir, stop talking about her. You're just jealous of her glam. I'm jealous of her stealing other people's money to pay for her glam. What is there to be jealous of? And this is allegedly, again, I do not want people coming for me. But at the end of the day, really, what am I jealous of? Like, when people say that to me, I'm like, you're literally saying that I'm a clout chaser. I even had someone reach out and say, are you pretending to be gay for clout?
What?
Who would do that?
What? This is not a porn. This is not a porn.
Like, this is TikTok. Like, and I don't even know what that means. And then I get it. Like, people on TikTok pretend to be gay to make jokes and laugh and stuff. But like, I have posted hundreds of videos about my queerness. So all of that's fake? Like, for what clout? The aggressive Jesus freaks that tell me I'm going to hell every day, that's not clout. That's just annoyance. Like, It's just, it's very bizarre. They tell me I'm going to hell, and then when I say I'll meet you there, they're very upset. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what you want from me.
Well, and then when Lil NasX starts twerking from hell, then it becomes a whole other.
And they're mad again. I'm like, y'all said he's going to hell for 10 years of his life, so he literally went to hell, killed Jesus, and became the devil. Okay, again, I don't love the messaging with the shoes, but that's PR. That's not Lil NasX. Like when people don't understand PR, and this is just a quick side note about public relations, working as a publicist for 15 years, it's us that do that, right? It's us that create the concept, the music video, the branding. We do the blood Nikes. He is not part of a cult. He is not at the center of that. That is, he might be involved, but the marketing is a PR person. When someone goes like, oh, this person's crazy, whatever, or Harry Styles wearing a dress, that's not Harry Styles. When Candace Owens attacks Harry Styles, it is not Harry Styles. It is the Vogue editor-in-chief. It is the fashion directors. It's very smart people that put together stuff that's going to be PR worthy. They blast it out. They know what to do to kind of like, rub people the wrong way. Like, because at the end of the day, good or bad PR, it's all good. Like when I had that horrible PR, I had to go private for 2 weeks, the whole Michael B. Jordan scandal. Like it was a lot, but I received a lot of press. I got a lot of good stuff. I got a lot of bad stuff. It all is all kind of intertwined when it comes to PR. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that brings a good point though, because, a lot of folks are like, well, is every publicity, is it good publicity? Yeah, at the end of the day, people know about you. Karen in Maine knows who the fuck you are now. She didn't know who the fuck you were yesterday. I used to do a little bit of PR marketing and promotions for like upcoming artists though. It's the battle is it's a different battle behind the scenes, and you see people for exactly who they are. And a lot of the times these celebrities or talent, they're not mindful of, wow, this person could be potentially interviewing me years from now, or they could be having this crazy TikTok channel that's going crazy. And wow, I was a complete fucking asshole. Right. Has anyone reached out to you like, yo, I'm really sorry for like the way that I treated you? Or like, has anybody reached out to you that you can technically say reached out to you? I mean, I don't know if something like that would really be held against you for saying, oh, so-and-so reached out to me for being a dick. But has there been that since your TikTok channel has taken off?
That's a really great question. There hasn't really been anyone that I've like, no EJ or like Annie Cohen or any of those people haven't really reached out, but I was on Watch What Happens Live as like in the audience, and he didn't say anything. So like, not that like, I'm not trying to brag, but I know they've all seen it because it was viral enough that like somebody would have shown them. So it was funny because EJ and Monique Samuels share the same publicist, and she reached out to me before I was in the show, and she's like, what's going on? Because I'm sure he filled her in, and I was like, because when I had reached out to him, that's when he sent me the whole, we know you're talking about Erica, Cease and Desist, like, because I wanted to have Monique on my podcast. So it's just funny that like a couple months later, Monique's like inviting me personally to come on. It's just, it's all very funny. Like things kind of end up working out, and you see my heart is really good, and I might not do things perfectly, and I get it. And I always try to apologize and course correct. I also stopped talking about clients. I really have shifted my TikTok away from that. People do love it, and I do get a lot of requests for more stories, but there's enough people on TikTok doing that. I also have kind of run out of stories as well. But yeah, nobody's reached out, but Sheena from Vanderpump Rules and Ariana Madix reached out, and they both have been really lovely. And Ariana and I started texting, and we become friends. And again, I was talking good stuff about them, but even the fact that they reached out, even on the good stuff, is kind of exciting. And then there'll be people that I really, really like love and have followed for months, all of a sudden follow me, and I'm like I'm on people's radar, and that's kind of like exciting, but yeah, nobody's really reached out to like really say sorry. But I mean, I know a lot of people mention this, and the only reason I want to bring it up is I got a lot of DMs like, maybe she was having a bad day. Unfortunately, when you're a public figure, you don't get to have a bad day, right? Like, and I know it sounds harsh, but as someone who's worked in this industry since I was 18, I, as a publicist, as a professional, have never been able to have a bad day. I've had migraines, I've had stomach aches, I've had the flu, and been working Fashion Week, right? Like if you want to be a public figure, that's why it's so hard. And that's why I respect people like Drew Barrymore and people that are like so lovely, or Heather McDonald. Like, she rallied around me when all this bad press came out, and she was like, I'm not deleting it. Like, I don't care what people say, because, like all the stuff with Michael B. Jordan, like the Shade Room deleted it, made it look like I was a liar, and people were threatening to sue me and libel and all. And anyway, aside from all that, I think it's important that when you want to become a public figure, and I understand, like, there are days, again, I'm not famous by any stretch of the imagination, but I'll be out and people will recognize my TikTok and come up and want to talk about it. And sometimes I'm not in the mood, or sometimes I get DMs where people are like, I want to be your best friend. And I'm like, I'm not in the mood for this. And that's okay. But it's my job to also not ignore stuff. And when you sign up to be a public figure, and I'm not on any level like J-Lo or whatever, but like, if I want to get to that level, there's a reason there's limited people who are famous. It's a really hard job. Like, you have to sometimes be at dinner. And I've been at dinner with Michael B. Jordan or Childish Gambino, and like 20 people come up and take pictures, and they're so gracious. And again, it says a lot about who they are. And I get it. Like, some celebrities are like, fuck you, I don't want to take a picture. That's fine. But you really can't have a bad day, especially with people that are working for you, right? It's something to be like, I don't want to take a picture with a fan, but I'm working for you. I got up early. And if you don't get on Fox News right now on LA, like Fox LA, and promote your book, I'm in trouble. I get fired, right? Mm-hmm. So again, what she did that day, I can't say directly got me fired, but it didn't help, right? And not that I was like on the street depending on this job, but you know, I was getting paid like $100 for the day, and for her to treat me like someone who's less than, when I really needed the money. Like, I don't really, $100 now is like, okay, I can make that. But I don't know. Long-winded answer is like, nobody's really reached out. And I think that when you are a celebrity, you can't have a bad day with people who are doing your hair or your makeup, all of that. You just have to be, I don't know, just take a deep breath, take a Xanax. Like, you can't be like that with people.
Yeah. Well, no, I agree, because if you had a bad day as a publicist, that's your ass.
Yep.
And they say, oh, you're right. They're like, Amir didn't do his job, or blah, blah, blah. Like, there's no such thing as you're allowed to have an off day. If y'all are held to a certain accountability, I feel like, you know, celebrities should also be held to that kind of accountability. But, you know, to each their own. Before I get completely carried away, I am having such a blast with you. We can play a little bit of what do you mean? So if we're both going to try to shoot our shot and give it a caption and hopefully make one another laugh. If the person laughs, then the person that laughs has to take a drink of his drink of choice, some celery juice.
Yes, we're being healthy today.
Yeah, so healthy. You know, this is a rare situation. And celery juice tastes like celery juice is
not good. It's not good. I learned a fun fact about celery. When they're picking the celery, they have to wear gloves, because if celery juice gets on your skin, it can create blisters. Like, makes your skin photosensitive. I was like, damn, it tastes like shit and it burns you. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Damn. Mm-hmm. You know what you should do instead of ketchup? Put a little celery juice around that doorknob. There you go. There you go. I don't know how celery juice got on there. I had a green cup in my hand and it just spilled. I don't know what happened.
Yes. Oh my God, too funny.
Oh God, this is so terrible. I'm Petty Penderson, Pendergrass.
I love it. I call myself Petty Wop. Petty Wop, honey.
Yes. Oh goodness. All right. So the first one, let's see. I'll do this one. So the first card. Oh, and then so if nobody laughs, then we have to take a drink of the lovely celery juice. So you get to go first. You ready?
I'm ready. Oh my God. Okay. Instead of blue balls, you got blue nut, honey. Blue nut.
It was so perfect. This is why you're the comedian. That's so funny. For y'all, like Amir was suggesting earlier, just check out the YouTube channel, youtube.com/jampacked, to watch all of this crazy shenanigans and, of course, the amazing facial expressions courtesy of Amir. So there,
play along.
Yes,
comment.
Yes. Yes. So it is a blue button with nut, and it looks like a hand is about to hit the nut button. Okay. So I have to take a drink of that celery juice because Amir has me dying over here. Let's see. No nut for you.
I was trying so hard not to laugh. I was like, I'm not going to laugh. I'm going to win. Damn it. Can I do one more? I just thought of one more.
Yes. Let me pull it up just for that.
I just thought of one more. You know, they sell at Whole Foods, they sell nut butter. This is not butter button.
The nut button.
Nut button. Oh my God, that's so fun. Okay, should I drink? Okay, I'm gonna drink.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, this tastes like, Ooh. Yours is bougie, boo. You got that press juicery.
I went to press juicery.
Yeah, honey.
I was in a rush. I was like, let me get this. Let me get
I loved it.
The best kind of real celery juice I could get for. Yeah, that one's.
That one's really. Yeah, look at mine. It's got seeds in it too, girl. Oh.
All right.
All right.
Next
it's good for the mind. Oh my
exactly.
God. I'm already laughing because she's just so fun. When you put it down so good, he leaves it right on the nightstand, bitch. When you lay that down that pipe, honey, look at that old woman. Get it, girl. Get your rocks off. Oh God.
So it is an old white lady with her thumbs up and hella hundreds in her other hand.
And the robe, it's the robe for me. Like that robe.
Yes.
She looks like a freak of leak, honey. She's going to take out her dentures and go to town. That is crazy.
Right.
She's crazy.
Jimbo, bring your wrinkly penis here.
Seriously, Jimbo. Jesus.
Jimbo. Okay. Well, you know, hoeing ain't easy out here in these streets. Been doing it for years.
It's so good. I totally feel like she sounds like that. And I feel like every other word is like a racist comment.
Right. Right.
Yeah. That was funny. That was a fun one.
That was amazing. All right. The classic.
Oh, I love this guy.
Yes, I love his facial expression.
When you're trying to post for your ex on Instagram and the one that gets punked is really you. It's really
I'm so mad I laughed so hard. Okay.
I love it. Drink that juice. Drink that juice.
Drink that juice.
You know, like her Instagram comment, I feel like her caption is literally like, you know, it's so good doing good, right? Wearing like $400 sunglasses. Jesus Christ.
Right.
I can't. Okay, I'm ready. I'm not going to laugh. I need to win one round.
Yeah. You spent how much on that Louis?
Oh my God, damn it. I didn't want to laugh. Damn it. That was funny.
Oh, goodness. All right, let's see. All right, the classic guy that looks a little constipated in class.
Love this guy. That vein is really, it's the vein for me, right? It's just like pumping. I think, okay, let's see. When you're thinking about grandma and trying not to nut. I was going to say dead grandma, but I felt like that was too much.
Right. That was a little harsh.
That was a much. But I really wanted to say was when you think about your dead grandma not to nut. Everyone's done it. Don't judge.
Okay. The next guy at Amir's speed dating table, and he says, "Next."
I can't not laugh at my own catchphrase, honey. Woo! Does yours taste like swamp water too?
Yes, 100%. Straight from the swamp.
How do these white people, you think that white people can drink this shit because they don't deal with any racism and they have no issues? Or what is it? Mm-hmm. Does it taste better? Are we tasting it badly because we deal with a lot? I still can't figure it out. But
I think we deal with more flavors, a little flavor.
They don't mind an unseasoned chicken. Have you seen those cooking things on TikTok? She's like, and salt and pepper, and I'm done. I'm like,
right?
You ain't gonna put lemon pepper or cumin or paprika, nothing? Nada?
Not even fully cook it on the stove or the oven, just put it in the microwave.
Oh, they microwave everything. I'm like, microwave raw chicken, boo.
Right? This is the way my papa used to make it for me.
I can't. I'm like, Papa lost all his teeth, honey. Jesus.
Right. Oh, goodness. Okay. Let's see. All right, next card.
When you're owned by a Karen and you see the direction she's going in and you can't do anything because you can't speak. It's just like, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't ask for the manager. Don't ask for the manager.
Amir's reaction at the speed dating table talking about next.
Listen, I'm always going to laugh when it's my own catchphrase. Listen, you don't end up on Instagram because you're humble, honey. Okay? Like, I'm on it because I want validation. I want comments. Someone DM me and they're like, oh, I don't really put comments, but I love you. I'm like, well, change your ways, honey. Start commenting.
Exactly. Well, I think that brings up a good point, though, because I really want folks to get to know who Amir is and your journey and how this all came to be, because I really love your story and your journey. And it's really just getting started, like folks know about you, but you're really getting warmed up, your coming out journey, or as you like to say, your coming in journey, was truly a journey. At 15, watching a movie with Cameron Diaz and Matt Dillon, the sex scene, in that sex scene that they had done, you realized that there was kind of a crack in the heteronormative, sphere, and you kind of thought about exploring. And then at 16, on a swim team, with your 20-year-old coach who had just come out at the time, had told you that it's okay to be yourself, and that and after that you had went and cried, and coming from a conservative Iranian family, you had lived in Mecca for a couple of years. Your parents moved from Laguna Beach just because the neighbor was gay. And so you would heard them saying these things and talking about those things, and when you spoke at your first panel, you felt like a fraud because you were talking to people about being their authentic self and you hadn't come out yet to your family. Fast forward, you came out at 27. How did you actually tell your family, and how did that go?
By the way, love the research. It was all like so thorough. I love it. But yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm having such a great time. I do so many podcasts that like I just lose count, but this one's like definitely my favorite. So I'm having a great time. So thank you. And the questions are wonderful. So I lived in Iran for 2 years. It was not Mecca, but like close enough. I mean, it's Middle East. So I was born here. All of a sudden, my parents were like, we're moving there to get culture. And I don't regret it. I learned a lot about, my Farsi got better. I actually learned English when I was 4, even though I was born here. So again, for people who are like, you don't have an accent, you talk so well. I was born here. I speak Farsi and Spanish. Just because I speak different languages doesn't mean I would have an accent in English. So anyways, and aside from that, having an accent is wonderful. My dad, who's named Jafar, which is hilarious, I always joke with him. I'm like, I should have been Aladdin. But one of the first times where I kind of had that crack was that movie, because there was a sex scene. Usually sex scenes, like a threesome, would be with 2 women and a man, but it was actually 2 men. It was like Matt Dillon, and I can't remember the other actor, and Cameron Diaz. And I remember being like, seeing them kiss, like I was watching it, in my mom's office, and I like felt like something was wrong. And I was like turned on by it, but didn't know how to like process that. And then, obviously going on a swim team, you're showering together, you're in Speedos. I always felt really like fascinated by it. And in my head, I was like, well, I'm fascinated because I have the same body, right? So I'm just comparing or contrasting. That's kind of how I put it. But I was so religious. I mean, I prayed and fasted. And, right now it's like the month of Ramadan. I'm still very culturally Muslim. And the reason I say it on my Instagram, a lot of people are like, oh, well, you don't go to pray. You don't go to the mosque. You don't. But like, I've been to Mecca. I've observed it for most of my life. I ate halal. Like my mom wears a headscarf. I'm very like respectful of it. And the reason I say it on my Instagram is to disrupt. I love to be a disruptor. I want people to like have to see things differently and see different intersections of religion and, queerness. And, there's a great influencer named Blair Imani who wears like a rainbow hijab. And again, she's a woman of color and all of those intersections. So long story short, like I started to see cracks in the veneer that I had built and rose-colored glasses. Like, when I was at school, I lived on a Muslim floor. Like I was so like ingrained in all the culture. And I remember this like very like out gay guy like had invited me to his house, first of all, at midnight to watch Legally Blonde. I remember thinking like, how did you fall for that? Like that is the most obvious booty call of all time. But when you deep in right? Like it's like, could it be more gay? Like, so I mean, I think for me, like it was really just that you could be so deep in a closet. And I see that with like DL men or people that DM me and they're in different countries. You can be so deep in a closet that you also don't know, right? Like one of the most triggering things is when I did come out to my friends, they were like, we already knew. And that kind of felt kind of like a little like not very, it didn't feel really nice or comforting to me because it was like, oh, you knew I was in pain. And not that I would have liked my friends came and said, are you gay? And a lot of them did, like, no offense, but are you gay? And like some people would be like, where is your boyfriend? They would like sidestep. And again, I'm very quite feminine and I'm very open. And again, I always tell people there are some gay men that are, and there are many that aren't. Like my ex was very masculine, like nobody ever knew. This idea that there is a heteronormativity or a straight acting or a certain identity that you have to like collate yourself with is what I try to kind of like disable. And so when I did come out, I then went to business school and I remember being like, oh, I'm in business school. Nobody knows me. And so I get there. This is a funny story. Y'all will get a kick out of it. I get there and guess who's checking people in? A guy that I was talking to on Grindr, which is like a gay dating app. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm not out and I'm in this environment. Is he going to like call it out? And he kind of looked at me and was like, sis, like, you better get your shit together. Like, I'm not saying anything, but you better get your shit together. Anyway, long story short, we became good friends, but there was, I was sitting in a group like of people that we had just met that day. They were all like straight. And this girl was like, oh, that guy's really cute. And I was like, he kind of is. And it was the first time I had ever stepped in. And when I say, instead of coming out, coming in, and, I was actually pitching a show where like anyone comes out, like everybody comes out, whether you're queer, you come out when you lose your job, divorce, interracial relationship, you're Democrat in the Republican family. These are all coming outs, right? So putting that onus on gay people and queer people to have to come out over and over again, because I don't know about you, but I came out multiple times. It was like, come out as gay, then come out as femme, then come out as Muslim, then come out as queer, then come out as like, oh, I'm a femme top. And then all of the different, oh, now I'm curvier. So no, you're no longer this, you're now a bear. Like all of those intersections, it can get very, very complicated. And, this long-winded answer is basically like, the process is still ongoing. Like I have come out to my family, but like I've lived here for the last year and a half during the pandemic and nobody talks about my sexuality. And like, if you go on my Instagram, it is my platform. So it's just like, again, there's an uncomfortability around it. I didn't speak to my mom for like 5 months. We did family therapy. And again, the fact they're willing to show up for these things, it says a lot about who they are. And I've spent a lot of time doing like trauma dumping or oppression Olympics. I'm not here to say like my life is harder, but I am triggered sometimes by the It Gets Better project. Or again, I work with these companies and I don't have a problem with them, but these white, straight stories that are told on TV, like a Love Simon, like I'm gay. And then like 2 days later, the dad's like, can I join Grindr? Like that's not everyone's experience. Like people get beat up, people get turned out on the street, people are put into conversion therapy. Like I had someone today say a couple of days ago was like, oh my God, I love you so much. I wish you could go to conversion therapy so you'd be straight. It's like, what? Yeah, she wanted me to date her. I was like, okay, this is not a compliment. This is very problematic, right? And again, I disabled it and I told her and she apologized and I understand, okay, whatever. But even the fact that you have the audacity to have that privilege to say things like that, that is why people stay in the closet, right? There's a fear like with famous celebrities who I know are still in the closet because they're not going to get great jobs. Like there is a lot that goes into it. And I don't think outing anyone is appropriate. And my intention with Heather McDonald was never to out anybody. That was not what I did. You ran with something because of your inherent homophobia. The way that people wrote those stories stories from Shade Room to E, whatever, it showed their inherent homophobia, right? So again, the struggle is always going to be real. And it's like as you talk to family, you realize, my Instagram sometimes was a lot for them, right? I'm wearing makeup and wigs and dresses and posing and doing photo shoots. And like, I get it. It's not in the norm of a Middle Eastern man, but I am who I am, and I have a great relationship with God, and I know that I exist for a reason because I was very suicidal, and I could have been gone, and there's a reason I'm still here, and I have worked through it, and I know that I take up space, and like even on Clubhouse, like I deleted the app, and I was like, no, I deserve to be here. Like I have a voice, and I create spaces for people, and that is really, really powerful. So I think, long story short, it's very hard, and there is no way around it. There is no way above it. There's no way under it. You have to go through it, and for anyone going through it right now, I implore you to stay on course and don't look at like the YouTube where I'm going to come out to my parents and make a fun video and get a coming out story and go to Pride. Like, it's not all about sex, and you never have a boyfriend. Your identity is still intact. When a 7-year-old man comes out, he's never had sex. He's still part of the community. So I think all I say is like,
God, that was so sad. That TikTok.
That was so sad.
Yeah. That was super sad.
It's okay to feel all of that, and it's okay to have trauma in our bones and intergenerational trauma. I also have immigrant trauma. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, right? Like, you don't want to let your family down, and it's all very nuanced. And, on Instagram, when people write, your parents are probably ashamed of you. And it's like, those things sting, and I do cry, and I am a real person. And so a lot of people, like, I see my friends who are like, have way more followers than me, got bullied. And I'm like, they see all your comments, and people say, well, don't let it get to you, sweetie. Don't look at it, block people. I get that, but I still see it, right? When someone says they want to slit my throat because I'm gay, when someone says that they hope I die, like I see those, right? I see all the love, but I also see the hate. So just keep that in mind. Like, you don't know what people are carrying and what they're going through. And my long-winded answer is, I think coming out is a lifelong process. I think that I will always be coming out in so many different ways because, if I want to have a family one day, or if I want to do it, it's always going to be like explaining that I deserve to take up space. So it's a lifelong journey.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. Like it is. And you're constantly having to re-come out, whether it's to your family, the same people that you just had this like great big like coming in moment with. And so I understand. I completely understand.
And denial is best served with hummus. So, I mean, it's very Middle Eastern. It is like, it pairs well, honey. So, and like, you don't take your rose-colored glasses off, you're going to see what you want to see, right? So, and I understand that there is a mourning process. I have a lot of friends who are trans. There is a mourning process with that as well. Like, you thought your daughter was going to have a child, and now they're transitioning to who they are and their correct gender. And like, that's beautiful, but you also have to mourn the loss, right? So even with gay people, I believe, and again, this is just my opinion, is that you have to mourn the loss of the Amir that you thought you knew, right? Like, and I think there is always who we know, who they are, and who they think they are, right? There's 3 different ways of seeing people. And I think that in so many ways, I also saw myself a certain way, which matched their way. And there's always gonna be someone who's the projection of the family, right? There's always gonna be like a couple people that like all stay in line with the family brand. And then there's gonna be the person that's like, wait a second, I just left the cave and I saw like a squirrel, right? So I was the one that walked out and I was like, I saw a pink elephant, honey, and you know what that was. So it's like, so it's like, there's always gonna be that disruptor, and I've always been that. So I think just stepping into that role, I had no other choice, right? As a kid, my mom said I always ask questions. I would always like push people. And that's just who I am. So I think long-winded answer, again, because these questions are so good, is that at the end of the day, there is a grieving process. So it's letting go and also trying to kind of move in a direction where that person can get let go. But again, if they don't want to have the conversation, you do not, let me say it for the cheap seats in the back, come to general admission, come to that general admission, honey, because we live in, is that like you do not have to ask for permission for your identity. You do not need to apologize for your identity. I spent so much time asking for space. Now you know what I do? I'm like, I'm doing a show about my life and you're going to listen, Lionsgate. You're going to come and listen. Like, you are going to benefit more than I am. So I think it's understanding that and taking up space in an unapologetic way that I've really been able to do. And even with family or friends, I'm like, you don't respond to my Instagram. You don't respond to what I'm producing. It's not for you, sweetie. So block and delete.
Yeah.
So, and I don't say that in a rude or demeaning way. I say that wholeheartedly and very kindly. It's not for you. Like when I go to someone's page who's talking about surviving in the outback, it's not for me. Mm-hmm. It ain't for me. I ain't in the outback. I'm not going to be Bear Grylls, but I don't criticize that. So I don't understand when people come to Black and brown spaces or queer spaces and criticize that it's not for them. Why would it be for you? Like, that's it. I'm done.
Wait, how do they do it on Clubhouse? And that's my time. I'm done. Thank you.
And that's my name is I'm done speaking.
Oh yeah. That's what they say. I'm done speaking.
I'm done speaking. I've been doing that in real life.
Amir Yassai.
Amir Yassai, and I am done. I am complete. I was telling my sister, we were both doing it. She was like, I'm done speaking.
Wow. Yeah, that was beautifully said, because I know that you've put in the work in your journey and also helped others, and you have a concept where I thought it was very interesting, because I feel like folks that are in the coming out process or constantly having to come in, that there was that you had mentioned lower your ego when coming out. That this is your first time that you're coming out, and this is the first time that your family is hearing it or your friends, and they're still having to take this in, digest it, understand it, try to, it's like you said, it's a part of the mourning process, essentially, right? And it's having this empathy for your family in their coming out journey as well as they are with you, or trying to understand what you're going through yourself.
Absolutely. And I think that, when people are rude or call you out of your name or treat you disrespectfully, of course, like, don't stand for that. But it's easy to say that when someone is like 27, but when you're 17, I mean, it's tough. And I always tell people, be financially independent or comfortable enough if it doesn't go well, and also safe, right? If you're trans, your family might murder you. I mean, I'm not saying this to be irreverent or flippant. It's just, look at the statistics, right? So I think be aware of safety. LGBTQ youth are 7 times more likely to commit suicide. They're 15 times more likely to be on the street. So just look at the statistics. I don't speak out of my ass. I know what I'm talking about. So I think when it comes to this topic, it's really tricky, right? Because it's not like a coming out package one for all, right? It's not one size fits all. Which is the tough part about it. But I think honestly, for me, it's continuing to put one step in front of the other, right? And people talk out of the left side of their mouths because they don't know any better, right? Like, we educate people, and I only say this not to like make fun of myself, but I've said problematic tweets and I've deleted them and been like, wow, I would never say that now. So I think it's being aware of that and deleting that and taking ownership. And I talk very openly about the times that I make missteps, or, I've been in rooms where I've talked over someone who was a person of color, and I was like, okay, this is not my space. Like, keep your mouth shut and listen, right? Listen and learn is like so powerful. And I think a lot of us don't want to do it. Like, even on Clubhouse, people are waiting to unmic, I'm next. And it's like, just to talk into the ether is great, but like, how is it coming back to you, right? So I believe in energy. I'm also like a medium. I like see like a lot of people that have passed send me messages. I've communicated with a lot of people who have passed. So I have like a lot, energetically, I'm very connected. So I'm always about bringing that energy back. And I think when you do come out to someone, if you have a desired reaction, you're going to be disappointed, right? Like, if you go to a party and you're like, I'm going to have the best time ever, you usually don't, because it's like, you set the standard too high. Or if someone's like, every time someone says, this is my favorite movie, when I watch it, I always hate it. Because I'm looking for something to hate. I think it's just human nature. I don't know what it is, but it's almost like, I'm like, oh, I didn't like the acting. The costumes were weak. And I'm like, why am I trying to debilitate when someone said it's the best movie they've ever seen? But we kind of do that. So with coming out, like even the movie Love, Simon, like the straight people came out, and it was really funny because the parents were like, I wish you were gay. And it was kind of funny. It was like poking fun at like, why is the onus on us to come out? Why is the onus on Black women to break down inherent systematic racism to white people? Like, why is that's not fair? Like, that's not fair. So I think that with that, I really had to, and I was 27, so I had time to process it, and I really had time to like know who I was, and I wasn't questioning when I came out. That's another thing. And it's okay. You feel ready to come out. You come out whenever you want. But I'm just saying, if you come out questioning, people are going to be like, can push you in different direction, especially if you're a people pleaser like me or codependent like me. Like, that's going to be really hard, right? So what I had to do was really disassociate my emotions when I came out. And I was like, whatever this person is saying is coming from a place of just non-education. You're going to get HIV and die. Okay, I've thought that. You're going to end up alone with no family. I've thought that. You're going to end up with nothing in your life. Everyone's going to hate you. I've already thought that, right? I've already done the work. So when they said all that stuff, I was like, okay, it took me 27 years to get here. I almost said hours, like that movie where he chops his arm off. No, 27 hours. I'm like 27 years to get here, right? So I'm like, it took me time, right? So give people a little more than a 15-minute response rate, right? So I now when people, my aunt or other family members will like say things that are kind of, or like my cousin was like, it's clearly a choice. That's fine. Like I've emotionally distanced myself from it. And I'm like, you know what? That's what you feel. That's great. But I also know where I stand with you, right? When you say my identity is a choice, all right, I see you. We see each other, like Candy Burra said. So we see each other, and that's okay. Like, I'm not mad at you. We see each other. We see each other. Like, I'm not mad at you. I just know where we stand, right? So again, to know, like, however long it took you to come out, give people a little more grace. And again, if people are like, I mean, it was tough, like, but you take a break, right? I didn't talk to people for 5-6 months. I distanced myself. I created a life. And remember, found family is also really beautiful. Like my queer tribe is amazing. They're so supportive.
That's so spot on. And, you know, speaking of mental health, I know for you, that in itself was kind of a journey because was it your family that was calling it othering? Like it's okay for other people to go to therapy, but not us. We can get through it. We can power through it. And, you know, there was a journey even to get to that point because is one of your uncles a therapist?
Yes. Yes.
And so for you, you had started committing petty theft when you came out because that was kind of your secret. You were so used to holding in the secret of how you felt. And after doing therapy, you had realized filling the void of having a secret, that it was filling a void to have a secret. But during that time, it was like a spiral that you kind of felt like a pressure to have anonymous sex, that you were drinking, you were eating, you were fucking the pain away. What was that moment for you where you said, enough is enough. I don't care if they give me shit for seeking help. What was that moment for you?
Well, I think, again, it kind of goes back to financial independence. Like when I started making my own money and I was raised like very affluently and that they use money as kind of like a control mechanism. So when I had my own money, it was kind of like, oh, I'm making a salary, I work. And I think obviously working and contributing really helped because I was like, oh, I'm contributing to society. And I felt really good about that. But yeah, there was definitely spirals. I mean, I would go outside on Grindr at people's homes and just like want to hook up and just a lot of like really like toxic behavior. And I struggled with an eating disorder. I lost like 70 pounds and then I wasn't eating. And, you know, but I'm very aware of that. Like I went to the doctor recently and he was like, oh my God, you gained so much weight, kept saying it. And I was like, I am not letting him like infiltrate what I built. Right. So it's just tough because it's like, you continue to live in a society that it encourages and rewards skinny, beautiful, quote unquote, healthy people, but doesn't really focus on the inside health. So you can be skinny and have diabetes. Like, there, you know, this idea that it's only like in this, like such a fat phobic culture. And I think that again is part of my body positivity. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, you're so brave. I'm like, that's what my body looks like. It's not bravery. It's, you're brave for commenting this mess, you know? So I just think that like with what you said with that, it's like, I mean, again, I was raised with a lot of therapy around me and you know, my uncle's a very famous therapist and there was a really famous Persian therapist that a lot of people go to his conferences in the Persian community. And it's like, but then it's kind of like, we don't do that. You know, my parents were like, you know, my dad's never been and my mom went once and said it wasn't for me and it doesn't work. And you know, even when I did go to therapy, they were paying for it, but they kind of were like, well, you're bitching and moaning about us. Like, why are we paying for it? And then, you know, calling the therapist and being like, what are you talking about? Like super just like, there's no boundaries, I think, with the like immigrant culture, like a lot of cultures like Persian, whatever, Asian, there's like no boundaries, right? Like it's kind of like, we're gonna just walk into your room, like they could care less, right? Like I'm changing and it's just like walk right in. And it's like, that's a kind of like boundaryless culture that I was raised in. But yeah, it's very complex. Like I then started paying for it. And one of my therapists actually said, she's like, you need to start paying for your therapy because half your session is about money and how they're paying for it and their involvement. You have to disassociate that. And that was really powerful. And I believe that with therapy, you do graduate and you can, like, people are like, oh, you're gonna go forever. It's like, no, I go, but like you can graduate from it. And I have. So I think you can live your life without going to therapy every week. But I also think it helps anyone and everyone, because being a person, even if you are a white straight man, it's really hard. Even if you're white and straight and privileged, you're going to have disease. You're going to lose people. Your life's going to be, it might not be as hard as the rest of us, but like it will still be hard. So I think everyone can benefit from it. And also with a therapist, just like random side note, don't go to the first therapist you meet. Like, you should be going to consultations and figuring out who works with you, because some people will gaslight you and will not listen to you and will make it worse. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll shake it up a little bit. So with Mr. Derrick Jaxn, catching himself in a little bit of hate and finding his wife possibly in a very sunken place, allegedly.
Oh
maybe.
My God. Guess who's, you know what? You know who's sending him a gift basket? Will Smith, honey. Will Smith is sending
Oh my God.
Nobody's talking about their entanglement.
That entanglement line of life is different. I knew he was fucking somebody, but I just, it's just what it was. Yeah. But so it's been a minute since we've dusted off this game, Mentally Stimulate Me. And I believe it is Mr. Derrick Jaxn himself that has created these cards. Okay. So it's basically a question you can choose to answer, or if you'd like not to, you would basically plead the fifth. So you would ask for your attorney. And then if you don't want to answer any of the questions, so it's a question and then it says like A, B, C, or D or whatever. But if you don't want to answer any of them, just because maybe the question might be a little too hot in these streets, you ask for your attorney, and then you would take a drink if you ask for your attorney.
Got it. The celery juice is ready, honey.
All right. So first question.
Oh God.
Amir, is this a deal breaker that they slept with one of your friends? A, yes, or B, no?
I think no, especially with the gay community in West Hollywood. There's a lot of cross-pollination, for lack of a better word. So it's probably happened. I don't like it because I'm actually quite a jealous person. Like, I don't care if you want to be friends with my friends and do all, but I don't like when I can be quite jealous. So
yeah. Okay. So I guess I'll take a drink since you answered.
You don't have to.
Here's what it is. And I'm not looking at the cards, y'all, by the way. So my card is your fiance is at their bachelor or bachelorette party. You see their ex pop up, oh hell, on your timeline at what seems to be the same party. What do you do? I am whooping somebody's ass. So the options are A, nothing because it doesn't matter. B, calling your fiance. C, melting down but still getting married later. Or D, pulling up on everybody. Seeing that we're getting married the next day, or possibly, I feel like they need to have an E, like option E. If the wedding is not like the very next day, like I would probably do nothing because it doesn't matter and then have the discussion later. But if it was the next day, I'm pulling up on that ass tonight because I need to know if I need to wake up early in the morning or not.
I'd rather know. Like if it's a wedding, if it's the day after, I'd rather know. But a lot of bachelor parties will be like a couple of weeks before or a month before. So that I'm like, we'll talk about this mess later. We all make dumb mistakes. Like, was he there accidentally? Like you ran into him? Like, because LA is a small place, so you run into people, but I I don't love that. And then why is he posting it? Is he trying to make me jealous? Not into that.
Right. Facts.
So am I drinking? You answered it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Bae hugs your best friend and you notice your best friend closes his or her eyes and inhales deeply before letting go of the hug. What do you do? Was Derrick Jaxn telling on himself in these cards?
Pretty much. He's literally telling on himself. That's a mess.
Crazy. That is a hot ass mess.
It's a hot ass
You
mess.
know, we thought he was telling on himself in these videos, but he made a whole game.
He made a whole card game about it.
That's fucking crazy.
Oh my God.
That is some trifling ass shit. So the options are A, nothing, B, checking your friend, C, pulling them apart and fussing at them both, or D, going to go find a new bae and best friend. Yo, These cards
are like, are they fortune teller cards? Like, what the fuck is going on?
You know,
I would.
I haven't played this game in so long, but since this whole Derrick Jaxn shit has popped off, I'm looking at these cards differently.
I love it.
Oh shit! Wow, I just thought this was a very not homophobic, but I felt like it was a more heteronormative. You feel me?
What that is, but it seems accurate. Like we see each other.
We see each other.
But this game is like, it's very heteronormative. But I think that I wouldn't like try to get a new bae. What was the second option? I don't know. I don't think I would do any of those things.
Let's see. Where did it go? Oh, nothing. Checking your friend, pulling them apart and fussing at them both, or going to go find a new bae and best friend.
I need an option D because I'm taking this. I'm taking my Apple Watch off and I'm walking over and I'm gonna throw some hands because why the fuck are you closing your eyes and why the fuck are you hugging her so close? Hugging him so close. It's a no for me.
Right. That is a no for me. All right, I'm gonna take a drink. You answer. It's my turn. Okay. Turn off or turn on someone who plays video games. I'm gonna say a turn on. So it's either A or B. It's turn off or turn on. I'm gonna say a turn off. Like, we could play video games, but it sounds like they play video games
like 14 hours a day.
Right. Like the kid plays video games. I see how much he plays video games when he's not doing school. If you play video games that much,
no.
Nah.
Unless you're making money on Twitch or like, listen,
right.
my chair is like a video game chair and it's so comfortable. So
I think he has a chair like that.
I love these chairs. The guy was like, do you play video games? I was like, whatever, just wrap it up, sir. Like, yes, I play video games. But like, it's the most comfortable thing ever. But yeah, I agree with you. Like, also like, I just feel like people that play video games all day, like especially men, like I'm like, ooh, you smell like Cheeto dust and ball sweat.
Right.
It just grosses me out. I have a bad image around it. Ugh.
I feel like that card was meant for like a man or like, I don't know, like a man, like a straight male or a
it's like a very straight woman to be like, he's always on playing video games, not paying attention to me.
Right.
Yeah, this game is very heteronormative, but he literally told on himself. This is so hilarious. Like,
this really is a hot mess. By the way, I have also a video game chair. I don't know if you can see it too well.
Yes, I can't see it. Listen, the people that know what's up are in the video game chairs, honey. Posture is important. Back health is important.
Yes. I even have my little fuzzy ass pillow in the back.
I love it, honey. Like, you hit 35, things start to pop and crack and not in a good way.
Yes. Oh, I feel that. I got you on that. Let's see. Your partner almost drowns at a pool and you rush to help, but his or her ex is already there giving them CPR. What do you do? Is it A, asking the ex how you can help, B, pushing the ex off and taking over, or C, breaking up with your partner for cheating? This really has a really deep Derrick Jaxn vibe.
Specific. It's so specific. It's so specific. It's like, oops, did I say her name? I meant like a random person. He almost basically said the wife's name. I just, it's like, in what hellish town is this person living in that their ex pops up everywhere?
Right. That is a problem.
That is the number one problem. You know what I would do? I would just get my sun bag, you know, my little pool bag, pack up and walk out with that man drowning. I don't care. Someone else help his trifling ass. Listen, no dick is good enough for that shit. I'm out.
Right. For real. That's a hot ass mess.
And can you imagine being answer A, going to help the... are you running from Mother Teresa? Give me a break. Like, that codependency is just so triggering to me. I was like, no thanks.
Yeah.
No. It's a no for me.
Exactly. No.
No.
I'll take that drink. Mm-hmm.
You're going to be so healthy. Your colon's going to thank me, boo.
I'm going to be cleared out. Let's see. Oh, you find out your partner has several troll accounts for anonymously antagonizing celebrities on Instagram.
Derrick Jaxn, what are you doing with your life? Call us. You need help.
Right. Call us.
Right.
At 1-800 Derrick Jaxn's intervention.
Please call us. We can help you, boo. Like, you don't need troll accounts to mess with celebrities. You're just like, this is like this deck, like when people in movies like admit to the crime when they don't even say you did it. They're like, I did it. I killed her. Like,
I can't wait for OJ Simpson's card game. What if I would have done it? Just
totally. That would probably be more delicate and less subtle than this. And more subtle than this, seriously.
Would you not take your arthritis medicine or not?
Crazy. It's insane.
Oh, with a glove.
Yeah, would you wear another glove? Like, would you wear a medical glove on your hand before you wear the other glove? Like, it's like it's insane.
That shit is nuts. Oh goodness. So I guess what would I do? Either A, so it would be A, looking at her differently but staying, or B, leaving her because trolls are scum. Derrick Jaxn.
Derrick Jaxn, he's literally predicting the trolls that are trolling him by calling them scum. It's literally
exactly.
This is like blowing my mind. I feel like I need to do a TikTok video on these cards. Like,
let's do it. Yes, I will drop these off to you.
Please, it's amazing.
This is fucking nuts. It says, so C, staying because you're a troll too, or D, or D.
Is he calling himself a troll?
I think he is. He's been trolling all these other guys, talking about if you were a faithful man, if you were a loyal man, you wouldn't do this.
How to be a loyal man? I'm like, he's literally like having sex with someone currently, like taking notes of how to be loyal. I'm like,
right.
The audacity, boo. The audacity.
Right. Exactly.
Good for him, though. Good for him for using whatever. That video, that woman was holding on to that hand. I thought she was going to rip his wrist off, honey. I was like,
she looked like it, didn't she?
She was holding on for dear life. And also, don't look good yourself and do this woman dirty in the bonnet. Like, you could have gotten her some glam or something.
You're in your extra medium shirt and she's just looking like, oh, you want me to do this now, Derrick? You know, like, what the fuck, Derrick?
What the fuck, Derrick? What do you want, Derrick?
Exactly. What the
She's like, I thought we were having game night with the damn card game and you're putting it on YouTube again.
Right? Talk about game night with the wifey. She loves me. She loves me more.
crazy. It's just crazy. I can't.
Our love got stronger because of this shit.
You can't write this shit. Like, real life is funnier than fiction because it's like, what? You couldn't even write this in a movie. Like, he made a card game that's basically admitting to being a cheater. It's hilarious.
What's the most creative shit that you've created as a publicist? Like the creative tagline that where you had to be like the spin doctor and
Oh, well, we had a client who was like in the closet, and then we had to get an actress from South Africa to like fly in, and I had to like babysit her and like hang out with her and like coach her on what she could say and not say. And she kept being like, I love gay men. And I'm like, he ain't gay though. Like,
right.
Like, stay in the lane of what you're doing, right? Because she was like, because I think South Africa, she was really famous in South Africa. She was like A-list. She was like, I have a lot of gay friends. Like, I'm cool with it. Why are we hiding? And I was like, bitch, if you want your like show on Netflix that we're gonna get you, like, you got to listen to me. And she was like, but aren't you gay? And I was like, not the point.
Right, this is not the point. This is not the point.
The job at hand is for you to be the very good-looking South African beard bitch, and that's what you're gonna do. And she was so funny because she's like, you know, like, he was so gay, but nobody noticed. I'm like, yeah, bitch, you were there to be the beard. Like, she's like, he was so interested in the waiters. I'm like, oh my God, do I need to spell this out? Very right. Like, he is not interested in you. Like, I still remember her name. God. I like literally still hear it in my head. I'm like, oh my God.
No.
I said her name so many times. I was like, girl, like,
are they still in hiding, or so they've officially, have they come out, or are we allowed to?
Nope.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. Oh, they're deep in it, girl.
Oh shit. Oh my goodness. Oh,
that's the one
goodness.
NDA I signed that is like ironclad. That's going until like 2025, and then I'll just expose it.
Okay,
no, I don't talk. I'm just because I don't like identity. I'm like, you come out when you want. But yeah, I mean, listen, this person would have not gotten any of the career stuff if they had come out. It's just a fact. It's not like woe to us. It's a fact. For some reason, people are willing to see people fly, turn into flames, wear a tight ass suit, Batman and Robin, but they can't deal with a queer character. They're like, well, that's too much. That I cannot believe. I believe that someone is allergic to a stone and will die, kryptonite, but they can't deal with like, oh, like he gay. I'm not watching that. Mm-hmm. Bizarre.
Oh my gosh.
The things we believe in, right? We believe in leprechauns, Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, but like a gay man?
Yeah. Ooh, can't do it. Nope.
Can't do it. Won't do it.
Right.
First of all, none of us gay men want you, straight white men wearing cargo shorts. You're a 4 in the real world. Come to aisle 2 in the gay world. Aisle 2. Come to aisle 2.
Please report to aisle 2.
Please report to aisle 2, where misogyny is on clearance and toxic positivity is an add-on. Thank you. Have a great day. Yeah.
This is Amir Yassai, and that's my time.
That's my time, and I'm done speaking. And if you want on the way out, I'm done speaking. And on the way out, I know that it's some holiday that white people celebrate on the backs of Indigenous people. You also get rape culture stickers on the way out. Thank you so much for coming, and 2 drink tickets for your troubles. I'm Amir, and I'm done speaking. Just crazy.
I fucking love it. You know,
we laugh, but it's so true. It is so true. We only laugh not to cry, y'all.
Right, exactly. Not to cry. There's so much truth wrapped in all of it. Mm-hmm. You know, when the pandemic happened, you around that time you'd gotten fired from your job as a publicist due to the pandemic, and then TikTok happened. You took off with TikTok, given all the juice, all the goods, and you're a publicist for about 10 years. It was about 10 years, yeah?
Yeah, it was about like 10 years working with a celebrity publicity. And then I was doing like brands, and I was doing like fashion week. So altogether about like 15 years. Yeah, like it's been a long time. Nice. And I actually quit in 2019, at the end of 2019, because I was doing auditions and I was pretty much about to get fired. And I was working for a very problematic British company that literally said the most racist things. And I was like, why am I here? So I had to exit stage left. So.
Oh my goodness. I really appreciate your honesty and your candor and all of that. And
Not everyone does.
I love right.
Not everyone does.
Yeah.
Like not everyone's
Yeah.
cup of tea. And at the end of the day, like the fact of the matter is I speak up for these things because that is my role and that's what I've decided to do. And not everyone has to do that. And it's not anyone's job to educate. But for me, it's kind of like, if I don't speak up, then I'm being silent for no reason.
Yeah. Well, no, I think that's a great point that you make, because before the pandemic, before the pandemic happened, you were actually pitching a show, a coming out type of show that was kind of much like Queer Eye, that helped people come out of the closet, but it was really for everybody to come out of the closet. That it could be anyone from if they had a divorce or a cancer. The idea is that everyone has a closet. Is that something that you're still working on, or kind of where are you at that? Because that sounds like such a dope idea, and it really is symbolic of the great work that you continue to do and that you've been doing for quite some time, just being yourself.
Yeah, thank you for asking that. And just to quickly answer your TikTok question as well. I got on TikTok and I was like, I'm just going to start talking about who I am. And I saw a lot of love and a lot of hate and a lot of shifts. And I think I had to push people sometimes. And I believe that people are like lemurs. They will all jump off the cliff if you take them there. And I always did. And it's no like diss to people, but a lot of people are wackadoo. They're idiots. They're kind of dumb. So they're groupthink. And I don't mean that you're not educated. I mean that people follow trends. Once my account started taking off and I got like 11 million views on a video, all of a sudden people were like, oh, he's worth our time now. There is a kind of internet quotient you have to meet, this like clout. And once you meet that, people are like, oh, he's important now. So I finally was able to achieve that platform, and it is really good, but it is a lot of responsibility. I get a lot of people that message me about their mental health, and there's a lot that I have to do, and I'm not a mental health professional, so I'm very clear about that. But yeah, when it comes to like kind of navigating, that TikTok and then navigating all of the different intersections, it can be very, very tough. So I think, and when it came to the coming out show, I had partnered with this like very famous model. He was like 56, he's white, cisgendered, gay man, with lots of privilege, had multiple homes. And I wanted him for his reach. And of course it was amazing. Like we got to meet with like ICM and like, these huge agencies that he was represented by. I mean, I commanded a lot of space and attention from people. But at the end of the day, people would still think, oh, Amir, are you delivering coffees? No, bitch, I'm pitching you MTV. I'm pitching you Lionsgate. I'm pitching you, Peacock or whatever. So this idea really came to fruition because I was so tired of that onus being on queer people to have to come out every time. I'm like, you come out too. Like when people get divorced, they hide it. There was someone I was talking to that was going to be on the show. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, it didn't end up happening, but I am in the process of bringing it back. I'm also pitching a show about my life as a queer Muslim stand-up that's going to be scripted, that's unscripted. So there's a lot of stuff that's in the pipeline. And again, the more visibility in the media, the more powerful it is. And even the podcast, when I first started, people were like, and then it's like, oh, Jill Zarin's on it. Oh my God, Monique Samuel's on. Oh my, people start being like, oh, you're someone, like you're doing things, right? And I'm sure that happened with you. People don't take you seriously. And then all of a sudden you start booking guests and they're like, oh, damn. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, with the show, I mean, it was crazy. I had so much imposter syndrome being with this very good looking white model. And, kudos to him for like, a lot of times they'd be like, oh, tell us more about it. He's like, oh, no, this is Amir's idea. Talk to Amir. So that's someone who understands their white privilege and is kind of checking it. And there were times where we had arguments because he didn't understand my imposter syndrome. He's like, it's in your head. And I'm like, so I sent him that video of Michelle Obama talking about it. And I'm like, is it in my head now? And sometimes you have to like educate people and kind of make them see the ways of their error and their privilege. But yeah, the idea is really to open up that concept. I had a friend who was going to be on the show and he had lost his job for 6 months and didn't tell his family, would get up, wear a suit, go to the Starbucks. That is a coming out. You're in a closet. It might not be queer and you might not feel, but you're ashamed, you're guilty, you're stuck. You're not being yourself, right? So like even back to like the whole shame drawer where I was like stealing things, there is a comfort in hiding, right? Being public, having a spotlight, I'm a lot more scared of success than I am failure. Because right now, a lot of things are happening. And if I become successful, like the more people listen to me, even with TikTok, like people listen and it's kind of overwhelming. Because when you fail, people are like, well, you'll do better next time, boo. Like nobody's really watching for you, but people are now watching me for me to misstep, to say the wrong things, to make the wrong moves. Like there's a lot more pressure on my back when I am successful. So, and we have limited spots, right? It's like Hollywood. Remember that game where like, it's like they're in like, what do they call that Hollywood game where they're like in little boxes?
Oh yeah, was it Hollywood Squares or
Hollywood Squares? Yes.
Yeah, or Hip Hop Square? Yeah, one of the.
We have limited ones, right? We're all in like squares. Like you have a square, I have a square, a trans person has a square, a fat white woman has a square. We have limited. If we fuck up, that square is quickly filled by a white straight man. We get one opportunity to make an impact, and if we don't make it in that 3 minutes, it's like babu. Like you are not getting a chance, right? So I think when it comes to this show, I do want to bring it back because I get a lot of people being like, I'm so ashamed. Like I've gained like 60 pounds. I have an eating disorder. I'm hiding it from my family. Or, we got so many stories, like interracial couple, like a family of pacifists. And then one person wants to go to the military, like just stuff like that. Like it might seem inconsequential to you, but like a lot of people were like, well, what's the big deal about a job? I'm like, when you're an immigrant, you are defined by your identity, your job, right? For me, like, I was defined by my femininity. And when people said, ew, that's disgusting, I would never date you, I wish you were more masculine, it would invalidate that over and over again until I came out and was like, I'm feminine, I'm happy with it. I'm also masculine in many ways, but I'm also feminine, I'm happy with it. So I think it's those shifts have really kind of helped me. And what we came up with was like the come in, right? Instead of come out. You're leaning into who you are instead of like, there's this idea with coming out and it's like, when you like, one of those canons, like for New Year's, once it all comes out, it's kind of like over. But I feel like with coming out, it's like it comes out and then you have to slowly put it back in, right? It all comes out and then it's like, that's why I started shoplifting. I was like, and it was never like large items. I would take like a little thing, right? I would take like a salt shaker from a restaurant or a salsa spoon from a Mexican restaurant. And then all of a sudden I opened the drawer and it was like full of stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I didn't realize that void inside of me was filled now by hiding another secret. So I think it coming out, like I said, it's multi-generational, it's dimensional, it's intersectional, it's a lot of different things.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh gosh, I had so many questions after that. It kind of talking about that, it reminded me of when you speak of toxic masculinity. Can you kind of explain that for some of the folks that maybe not be totally 100% clear on what that means? Because to talk about toxic masculinity is for them to understand really the core and the depths. And we kind of alluded to it a little bit. We kind of discussed a little bit of toxic masculinity. But can you explain what that is for folks that don't know?
Absolutely. There's like few topics in the world that I love. One of them is white privilege, and the other one is toxic positivity and misogyny. And I feel like all of them are essentially next door neighbors. They live in a cute little cul-de-sac of toxicity. And I think that people of color and women and queer men and non-binary folk and trans people will walk by and have to kind of navigate these homes as I like to call trick-or-treating. Is that you go into these homes and you go in and say, give me a treat. And what they give you is that you are less than, right? You are not good enough. They're going to fill your bag with all of that bullshit. Toxic masculinity starts at a very young age. When you see your son want to wear a tutu and you say you cannot do that, you are, as a woman, as a mother, toxic femininity. You're using your place as a woman. That's what I do, but you can't do it, right? A lot of women will talk about, oh, I knew my son was gay because he was playing with my heels that's generally not an indicator of being gay. That's just someone playing with their kids. Don't have gender until they're about 5 or 6. They are still figuring it out. Like one of the kids in my cousin's school is trans, and I was like, is it hard for you? And he's like, it's not hard. It's not any harder than you asking me right now.
Right.
So kids are so resilient and kids don't give a shit. Like that's why a lot of kids are naked. They don't have like social constructs. Like they will take their stuff off in the store because they're like, I'm done. I want to take my dress off. Like, so I think toxic masculinity, like, and what Kevin Hart said, like if my son was playing with like a doll, I would hit him in the head with a dollhouse. Those things are toxic masculinity. Those are things that he was told. Like, this is what it is to be a man, right? Rah, rah, rah. Like, like testosterone. That's a Neanderthal. That's not a man, right? And then this idea that like, I've heard this a lot from men too. Like, I'm such a good guy. I went on a date with this girl. She was not like, didn't look like her picture. She was so fat and disgusting, but I went on a date with her because I'm a good guy, right? That's not being a good guy. You wasted her time and your time. You pretended to be a martyr and you opened her door. And it's like, all of this stuff is tied to toxic masculinity, right? It's like this idea that men will save you. Men are just larger sometimes than women. They can protect you in a parking structure. But aside from that, you kick a man in the balls, he's done. So I don't really know why they think they're so powerful. And I always like to say, whoever you look up to probably has had diarrhea, probably has shit their pants. Elon Musk goes to the bathroom. Like, this idea that we're going to exalt white men and push this toxic masculinity, everyone's been, and I don't like mean to like say that to be like downplay people's accomplishments, but also be aware, like toxic masculinity is linked really to this fear of feminine energy, right? A woman can literally carry life and deliver, and a man cannot really do anything but deliver a kidney stone. So that's pretty much all a man can ever deliver is a kidney stone. So let that settle in. And also like,
I was like really in my thoughts. I was just like, dang, like Amir is really out here just preaching like a word right now. This is
all they do is give birth to the kidney stone, girl.
I was like, oh wow. I just love listening to it.
I love you.
Just taking it all in.
I think it's your space. It's the space, honey. It's the space that provides me the opportunity to speak on these things. I mean, listen, men, you know, I talked to one of my friends, Nadia, who is she's a period influencer. She talks about the period and the tampon tax. If men were bleeding out of their penises, the tampons would be free. They would be on every corner, and men would get 3 days off to settle in and have all of their whatever's associated with your period. Like, so just don't get it twisted and a lot of times it's funny, women are actually the gatekeepers of toxic masculinity. So it's actually not men, right? Men are actually I have a lot of guy friends who are straight. They are very emotional, but they're like only talk to their friends that are men about it, right? Men have a lot of emotions. They are not used to being rejected. They are not used to being told what to do. They have very fragile egos. The reason men are such bad patients as well is because their egos are very high. They don't like to be sick. They don't like to ask for help. Whereas women, it's encouraged to be emotional. It's encouraged to ask for help, right? So it's funny, when a man speaks up, a woman says, don't be a pussy about it, right? Those comments are toxic femininity mixed with toxic. We don't give toxic femininity enough coverage because masculinity is louder, right? Yeah. So it's kind of like, rah, rah, rah. But they don't understand. Toxic masculinity is very closely tied to sexual harassment, Me Too movement, rape culture, all of that. All of those are all about control and entitlement to women's bodies. Why do men feel like they can tell a woman when to get an abortion? Because they feel like I own you, right? So women have only had rights since the 60s, right? I'm not saying that women are like people of color, but the black slavery in this country as well, they were owned. Women were also owned for thousands of years as well. They were bought and sold like cattle. When a father walks his daughter down and gives her away, that is my property. I'm passing it to you, right? We do it kind of as a what do they call that? Like a gesture now, right? But back in the day, it was like, I am literally selling your daughter to you because you're giving me money for her. It's a dowry, right? So all of those things, like women have also been held against their will. Like, so again, this is all tied to toxic masculinity. Of course, I don't like oppression Olympics. I don't do trauma comparison. But what I'm trying to say is that like all roads lead to men wanting to be men and being told by society, you could wear a dress every day, wear makeup every day, and still be straight. You know who that is? It's literally every rock star. Bruce Springsteen's. Who else? Like Mick Jagger. I've seen Mick Jagger in Paris who's wearing a dress and eyeliner. Straight as an arrow. So this idea that like these things are tied together, or when Harry Styles wears a dress, oh my God, it's like capital news, right? It's like the worst thing that could ever happen. And it's like in a country where black people are being shot and killed everywhere, queer people are being murdered, trans people are being murdered, Harry Styles in a dress is really the worst thing. No, right. You know what? I'm sure like queer people listening, mass for mass, it's like masculine for masculine. That's like a moniker that's on, like TikTok and Instagram and even on Grindr where it started. There's a lot of like no femmes, no fats, no Asians, no blacks. Like I see all that stuff and it still happens. And, drag queens do a great job kind of disabling these like very bad systems. And I did it on my panel. The reason it was called queer positivity was specific. It was like, This is not positive. It's not all rainbows. It's a lot of white cisgendered men that even now during a pandemic, they all went to Mexico and were like, you know, passing COVID around like it was just a joke. And, you know, there is so much like, oh, trans people make me uncomfortable. I don't like lesbians. It's only gay men. Like, it's very problematic. And having one Asian or one Black friend in your group doesn't mean you guys are woke. And also that Asian and Black man has to be 10 times hotter, has to look so hot, has to be more fit than anybody in the room. And I'm like, you're cherry picking people and saying that like, you know, all of this stuff is just, it just ties back to misogyny and a hate for women, right? Gay men, a lot of people, oh, they love girls. Some of them are very problematic. They're very scared. Like people always tell me like, oh, I thought you were going to be very masculine because, you know, Persians. And I'm like, that's problematic, you know, or I don't like you because you're like a feminine top. I'm not into that. Okay, great. Like hit the door. But like, remember, at the end of the day, the culture that you're trying to cater to, which is heteronormativity and that straight culture hates you. So you can continue to like promulgate all of their tools and tactics, like good for you. But at the end of the day, they don't serve you, right? So again, I don't think you have to be with someone who's feminine, but to downplay that and to say, if you were masculine, you'd be boyfriend material is so damaging and hurtful and painful and not okay. And it all roots from the misogyny. And whenever I talk about this, they're like, we love everyone. If you love Beyonce, it does not mean you're anti-racism, or, you know, you could have very much have anti-Blackness and listen to Beyonce. So this gets very much lost in translation because I hear a lot of people say, oh, I love sleeping with Black men. That you like an appendage. Yeah. That's it. You have done nothing to disable white supremacy. You've done nothing to help the community. You are just sleeping with men and also fetishizing them, which is a whole nother conversation around that. Because I get a lot of that. Oh, I want my Aladdin fix, or I want that hairy man, and da-da-da-da-da. All of that stuff is fine when you trust someone and they are not a white, cisgendered, straight acting gay man. That's very, very triggering for people on the other side.
I love the work that you're doing, and you're doing so much for so many. You really are creating, actually, I don't know, I don't want to say create, you're adding this deeper sense that the movement has needed. You know, you're mixing it with humor and comedy and facts. Like, it was from something that you said that I had no idea that gay men have the highest eating disorder rate than women. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that until I came across something you had said. You know, you're throwing out facts that people need to know about. So folks that are listening, I hope you're either already following Amir, or you will be with all of that. It'll be in the show notes as well. But you are giving so much to and that's got to be so exhausting. How do you balance all of that? The Clubhouse hood rats and the Clubhouse and the TikToks and the Instagram and the YouTube. How do you balance that with Amir? And how do you balance it with the Amir that, and then there's like these Gemini splits, right? It's the spilling of the tea, while continuing your message and still balancing time for yourself. How do you do that?
That's a great question. First of all, I got kind of choked up when you were sharing that. I'm a very emotional person. So when someone like sees what I do, it really means a lot. And I've always really tried to, kind of break down fundamental issues in our system, right? Systemic racism, homophobia, transphobia, and also bring it through education and humor. And, a lot of gay men, like, even if they look perfect, they have so much muscle dysmorphia and body dysmorphia and gender dysmorphia. And I see these men who, I hung out with this group of men that were all models, looked gorgeous. I was probably the heaviest one, and I was the most happy with my body. And it's like people sometimes see external, and especially on Instagram, we like consume with our eyes. But you have to remember, like, nobody posts on Instagram crying videos, right? We all post our like highlights and that's why it's called a highlight, literally, on Instagram. So people are just remember that when you're kind of like navigating these sites. And if you're an emotional person like I am, you're an empath, I do take breaks, right? Like, I do step away. Like, I deactivated Clubhouse. People are like, we can't find you. And I'm like, I'm taking a break. Like, it's too much with the bullying and I need a break. And that's okay. Or TikTok, I took like a couple of weeks off because they were shadow banning my videos. And this happens to a lot of queer creators. They can't post their videos are getting 0 views. Like, you know, I have a friend who has 1.7 million followers and is getting 300 views. Like that's clearly, and like TikTok is not putting them on the For You page. So there's a lot of stuff. Like it's okay to be exhausted because it's exhausting. I was in a room for like 7 or 8 hours and it was all about how tired we are. And I say we, and I don't understand the Black experience, but I understand the queer, Persian, Muslim experience, immigrant experience. But they were tired. Like this Black woman was like, I don't even want to talk about it anymore because I'm tired of explaining how tired I am of it, right? It's a system that continues to oppress, and the system is designed, it's perfectly designed to make us so tired that we stop speaking up. Right? Look what happened with Asian people. They were so tired of being silent because that was like, oh, you're a good Asian if you don't speak up. And they got tired of it. They're like, fuck it, I'm going to speak up. People are getting murdered and they're arresting someone's husband who is Mexican outside instead of arresting the person who did it. Like he didn't do anything. He's like, I just lost my wife and I'm arrested. So it's like, so don't sleep on that. And also don't let like George Floyd's verdict, which I'm ecstatic. I was sobbing outside a bank and some white woman walked by and looked at me like I was crazy. And I was like, bitch, just keep watching me cry from happiness. At the end of the day, what was it? A couple hours later or before that, where a 16-year-old girl gets shot because she's protecting herself with a kitchen knife. You're telling me 3 trained officers couldn't get a kitchen knife out of a 16-year-old's hand. I could get a 16-year-old to give me the kitchen knife. So just this kind of stuff, open your eyes, right? It's there. It's just about if you want to see it or you want to be an ostrich and stick your motherfucking head into the sand and not see it. And that's fine. Move to Florida, live in Miami, like ignore any problems that anyone's having. That's fine. But I'm not going to do that. And I went to this Teen Vogue event and Patricia Cullors was there, who started, Patrice Cullors, who started the BLM movement, which was started in 2013. A lot of people think it started in 2020. It has been around for a very long time.
For a very long time.
Very long time. So it's been there. And even before she started the technical BLM movement, it was a lot of other work she's been doing. So she mentioned, she's like, sometimes I don't want to talk about systemic racism. I'm tired. I get my hair done. I listen to Mariah Carey and I live my best life. And that's like me. I do amazing podcasts like this with you and share. And I also do self-care. I take a shower. I take a bath. I go for a walk. We have these ducks in our pool. I feed them. Like I just do stuff like that makes me happy. You don't have, when people say social justice warrior, it's very triggering to me because it's like, it's not about a battle. This is a long game, right? It's like a marathon. We cannot sprint through it. We cannot, a lot of people posted like the black square, right? For BLM. That's it. Everything else is like bikini photos. You don't really care. It's better if you just don't post that. Like I continuously post and I get even people being like, isn't this over? Like one of my cousins was like, isn't BLM over? They got what they wanted. I'm like, getting rid of Aunt Jemima and getting rid of like, what is it, Gone with the Wind has done dick for the Black community.
Yeah.
Like.
Exactly.
And it actually ended up, the woman who Aunt Jemima is based off of, her family who was benefiting from the money actually will not get the money. So it's like, and then a lot of conservatives are like, oh, Aunt Jemima's gone. We want our syrup back. I'm like, first of all, that syrup tastes like shit. And then aside from that, like, why do you really, it's like that, it's not but these are, see, this is the thing that frustrates me. It's tactics to distract from the cause at hand, right? You do black squares. So when people look up BLM, it's a bunch of empty things, right? We're not stupid. Like, we know what you're doing.
Before we get out of here, I know we've had so much.
We've been here for a while, boo. I love it.
We have. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh, let me let Amir go. I know we've been at this for a while. Fine. But before we officially
the celery juice kept me going, boo.
Right. Right. Exactly. What would you've done so much work and we've had such an amazing conversation. What would the Amir now tell the 15-year-old Amir that was just learning kind of this heteronormative and explore what your journey was going to soon be?
Damn it. I hate this question. I always cry.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, though. I love this question. I think it's wonderful. I mean, RuPaul always asked the drag queens on the last episode, like, what would you say to your baby picture, right? I think for me, I spent so much time being kind of silenced, right? And it's kind of like that Oprah question, were you silent or silenced? And I think for me, it was not being heard and not being seen. And again, I was kind of the projection of my family. Everyone was doing the same thing. And I was kind of like the disruptor. And what I would say to 15-year-old Amir is that like life is going to get really hard. And sorry, I'm getting a little emotional, but it's going to get hard. And you just have to kind of rise above and know that like you deserve space and you are allowed to ask for space. And I think that I apologize so much about being too much or too loud, or, you know, like my aunt always said, you're not everyone's cup of tea. And I carried that around like kind of like a cross to bear, you know, and I'm realizing that's okay. Like people that like are everyone's cup of tea and don't say anything to disrupt really don't make any changes in the world. And I think my biggest fear growing up was always like to like die and like not have made any impact. And I can say for a shadow of a doubt that I have made an impact. I have had made people feel seen and welcomed in a way that I never was. Like I never saw myself in TV. I always wanted to be in TV and movies, and my dad was like, that's not for you, right? Those are drug dealers or bad people, or and to sit at tables with people that I like honored, and like to see people that like I respected, like Jay Rodriguez from Queer Eye, like my friends, you know, like meeting drag queens and just living my best life, for lack of a better word, right? Like I remember there was a time where I was like I was like had a gorgeous wig and I was wearing a fur and I was like in heels and like living my best life and dancing, and I just looked around and I was like, I thought I was like, it would have been really sad if I killed myself and I never saw any of this, right? And it was just really powerful to like be like, oh my God, like I could have taken this away from myself, right? And it was just, I would just say hang in there, hang tight, and things are gonna get very bumpy. But you know, it's Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, and she looks cute and I'm living my best life. And I think that sometimes you just need a good wig to reset and like just start again. And don't let people tell you what to do. Like, they are speaking from their own broken dreams. I mean, if I had listened to anyone that told me not to do things, I would have not ever had the platform. I would never be doing what I'm doing. And I would probably never be talking to you. I would be like working in some business and, you know, with the 2.5 kids and like living that picket fence life. Like that's not for me. You know, I might never be like super successful or a millionaire, but like that financial value, I have a reach. I can reach people and I can reach people in their hearts. And a lot of people that are very rich will never be able to have that impact. So I think that to me, that social quotient is a lot more important than money.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
Wow, this has been so dope. Before we officially get out of here, we usually end on words of wisdom. What would your words of wisdom be for the people out there? It could be in relation to anything, but whatever words of wisdom you feel like you want to share with the people.
I love that. Words of wisdom. First of all, for the cheap seats in the back, come to general admission. We're having a good time. Like we are all having fun. We are come. We have popcorn. We have like, you know, we have a lot to offer, I promise. I think my words of wisdom, I mean, I've said a lot of stuff and you've really been able to carry a lot of it. And I've done like hundreds of podcasts and a lot of people can't carry my story and they're uncomfortable around mental health and they pretend to be comfortable, but you really have allowed me to share and be comfortable. So I really wanted to honor that and I appreciate you.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. It means a lot. And I always say people that have gone through a lot have us, like a bubbliness and like a funness, and we can laugh. And people are always like, why are you so happy? And I'm like, because I know how dark it can get. And I try to really enjoy the good and the bad, because the bad will, like, whatever the bad is, it will end. And whatever the good is, it will also end, right? So I try to kind of enjoy. And that's kind of my words of wisdom is like, the good and the bad will pass. And I think all we can really have in our lives. And, you know, to all my queer people, it's the beauty of it is that why do we have a rainbow? And I actually have a rainbow right here. My sister says you always have like a rainbow in like,
yes.
What does she call it? Arm's length. I've always got a rainbow around. The reason we have those colors, and again, I could be making it up, but that's how I see it. The reason we have all those rainbows is that we go through so much. It's like a rainstorm, right? But at the end, there are all these colors of strength, and the blue and the yellow is for pain, and the red is for pain, and the pink is for like our uplifting moments. And we go through all that Roy G. Biv, all the colors of the rainbow, right? But at the end of the day, like we get to create our own lives, right? Straight people that are heteronormative, they have one option, right? It's like marry a man, have kids. It's like very A to B, right? With us, it's like, you could do anything. You could come out in different ways. You could like alter your identities as you discover yourself. It's like an onion, you're blooming outwardly, right? So I think that is kind of, I don't know, like that's kind of powerful to me and kind of amazing. It's because we can almost rise from the phoenix. So many times I've redefined my identity. And even now I go through moments where I'm like, okay, I'm into this, I'm not into that. And sometimes I see like my guy friends who are straight or like my girlfriends that are straight, and they're very like, I can't do that. I can't say that. I wish I could wear that. And it's like, with queer people, like the beauty is we kind of design our own lives. You can do it all. And it's kind of amazing. And if you're attracted to a man one day, okay, and like, it's kind of like, it's kind of amazing. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that. I think my words of wisdom I'm taking from you because you are truly inspirational, and I really hope that everyone listening is following you or goes immediately to your TikTok and your Instagram, because you really are truly inspiring and amazing. And I love your vibe and your energy. And I think I found you on Clubhouse, and that's, and then I was like, oh my gosh, like he really is as amazing as he sounds on Clubhouse. So I was really excited. But I think my words of wisdom will be come in. I think oftentimes, like you've said, and this is me quoting directly from Amir, come in. The weather's great. The pool water, amazing. So
the hors d'oeuvres are great.
Right. You're coming into a family, you're being welcomed into the LGBTQ plus family, the large umbrella, the undefined family that we are. We have so many more communities to create within itself. So I think that come in. Mm-hmm. And out is so you feel like you're out on an island by yourself, and you're really really more of a welcoming space than what the actual terms are. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you challenging the terms that the community is using and reevaluating its significance and its relevance and the importance of manifesting positivity in every sense of the way that we use it. Right. For the folks that are like, yo, I love me some Amir, I need to follow him, I'm a creep on him, I'm gonna check to see if he's single out here, see if I can slide in those DMs. How can the people reach you, and can they slide into your DMs? Absolutely.
You can slide away. I might not see it, but if you're clever enough, I will see it. But I appreciate you all. I appreciate you so much for, again, creating this safe space. It's Amir Yass official, and my last name is really Yassai. I didn't make it up. Yass has been in my name from the beginning, so I had no way to not become, a queer icon. That was in words for me. But yeah, follow me on TikTok and Instagram, and on Twitter, it's Amir Yass Tweets. I'm a lot more political on Twitter. I'm also on Clubhouse, Amir Yassai. You can find me there. But yeah, listen. And also I'm on Cameo if you want me to send some crazy shit to your friends. I'll do it. And you can slide. You can slide away. Be clever, though. Don't be like, uncool, like Luann would say. So.
Right. Don't be uncool.
Don't be like
this. Has been a complete pleasure and an honor, and I hope that you come back. We'll have to do a little bit of after dark with Amir. I love the conversation. So that's when we get to really, exactly.
Let's do the after dark. I got you.
Yes, we need to. This has been amazing. Y'all, make sure that you follow, subscribe, go to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/jampacked. Make sure that you follow Jampacked on Instagram, Twitter. What you see on Twitter is really just either a retweet or I'm trying to maybe rejoin the forces of Twitter. I used to have them Twitter fingers, but I had to hold back. So Twitter gets you in trouble out here these days.
Ooh, people start screenshotting your tweets, honey, and I meant love you, mean it.
It reminds me of you speaking Spanish on your TikTok. Es mierda.
Es mierda.
Es mierda.
Tengo una mierda. It's social media is mierda, boo. Let me tell you that.
Yeah. Hey. Make sure you go to @JamPackShow. Y'all, this has been amazing. Make sure you check out a new episode of Jampacked every Wednesday morning, dropping on every platform. We're trying to get it together on YouTube to make sure it syncs up with y'all the same time that it comes out on Instagram or, what's it called? On all the platforms. There you have it. We are also now on iHeartRadio app. So if you listen to that, you have that. You can always get some Jampacked for that ass on iHeart. Again, Amir, this has been amazing. Oh, this is so dope. Y'all, thank you for joining us, and we will see you on the next Jampacked.
Yes, queen.
peace signs up. Put 'em in the air, it gon' rise up. Peace signs up. Put 'em in the air, it gon'